Hello ladies and gentlemen. This is a short video to take you through our house rules for how we want you to use the Face2Faith online community. Some of you are old hands at using Face2Faith, and this is just a reminder of some of the things we want to emphasize. For those of you who are new, it'll give you an outline of the things that we expect and the things that we hope the community will do for you. The first place to start is with your safety, because obviously the site has been designed to keep you safe. And it's worth bearing in mind that this site is not like Facebook, it's not like Twitter, because it's monitored and moderated. People read what you write, and everything you write, remember, is being published to the community. Your teachers are able to see everything that you write, the moderators are able to see everything that you write, even in your chat messages, and we keep a record of everything that's said. Now that's important because we want to keep you safe, but it also means you need to think very carefully about what you write. Because if, for example, you say something that leads us to believe that you might be at risk of harm, either from yourself or from other people, then obviously, because we care about all our users, we will act upon that information and we will inform your teachers of our concerns. I'm sure your teachers will probably pick them up as well. This site is about being safe, so think carefully about what you write, because everything you're writing, you're sharing with the rest of the community. Also, in terms of being safe, one of the things that's very important to consider is the whole business of what you do if you see something, and this is very unlikely, that you consider to be inappropriate or offensive or that you're worried about. So let's just take for a moment the idea that maybe you see a blog. Maybe you see a blog that somebody's written and you think, oh, I'm not sure I like that. I'm not sure that that's an appropriate thing to see here. If you click the report button, that blog will automatically go to a moderator to be read and checked. Okay, because we want to keep you and other users safe. If you see something that you don't think is appropriate, or you don't think is fair, or you don't think is right, by all means tell us. It's really important to remember that in an online community, it's the users who police it. And what that means is that attitude that people often have in a classroom of not telling on their friends doesn't apply. The proper grown-up way to use an online community is to report people who break the rules. So if you see anything offensive or inappropriate, report it. If somebody says something to you in a chat conversation that makes you feel uncomfortable, report it. Tell your teacher or tell one of the admins. That way we can all help each other to stay safe online. Remember what our site is here for. This site is here to share your ideas, the things you're concerned with a global community. We're here to learn about other people, we're here to teach about ourselves. So share your experiences, share your interests. That's what the site is for, so please remember to concentrate on those kinds of things. When you're writing, think, is this something that's telling other people a little bit about how I or people around me see the world? If it is, then it's a good thing, and we probably want it on Face2Faith. Remember, just as in the classroom or in the video conference, it's important to treat everybody here with respect. And that means thinking carefully about how we express ourselves, thinking carefully about what we say. It's an important part of this program. Remember that you have to express yourself clearly. Quite a lot of people on this site are working in a second or third language, okay? And a lot of people, in fact let's face it, most people are not from your country. We're all from different countries. So think about how you express yourself. Try not to use terms that are local or slang, because people just won't understand you. You won't get responses to a blog that you post if people don't understand it. So remember to express yourself really clearly. We want your work to be original. We want to see your work, not someone else's. So please don't copy information, don't copy pictures from anywhere else on the internet. And of course you can quote from people, but you have to say where your quotes come from. That's important. And you have to explain why the quote's important to you. Don't just write a blog that is a quote. If a quote means something to you, and you're making the effort to tell people about it, then you should tell us what it means to you, why it's important. If we find work that's obviously copied or pictures that are obviously copied, then as part of our moderation procedure we'll just delete it, because it's not fair on the people who did that work originally that you pass it off as yours. It's really important to write in your own words. It's always better to write in your own words, even if they're simpler, because you'll probably be expressing yourself with much greater passion and much greater enthusiasm, and you'll be honest. What I'd like to do now is maybe talk in a little bit more detail about how you can use some of the features of the site to get your ideas out there and to make the most of them. So I think the first place I want to start off with is when you're sharing your ideas. You've really got a couple of choices. If you've got something quite important to say and you want to explore it carefully, and of course have the option of adding a photograph, then you should write a blog. A blog is an extended piece of writing. Okay? If you've got an original idea you want to share with everyone else quickly, but you want to do it in less than 150 letters, then write a blast, because that will go out there. Those will both go out there for everyone to look at. Obviously, if you're writing something that's just a sentence, it should be a blast. Okay? Another thing that's important to remember, if you're writing a blast, it should be original. It should be your ideas. Don't just pinch a quote from somewhere on the internet. We want to hear from you, not from someone else. So here are a few things to think about when you're writing a blog. When you're writing a blog, please keep it personal, because that's what we're interested in. We're interested in you. People around the world want to know about your experiences, how they're different from or similar to their own. They want to know about your ideas, the things that are important to you. Don't write in general terms. Write it in personal terms. Now that means as well, if you're maybe, as I suggested earlier, if you're writing about a quote that inspires you, don't just write the quote. Write about how it inspires you. Write about what it means to you. Write about how it's changed your life. The second thing to bear in mind is to keep it relevant. Remember what the site is here for. We're here to learn and teach about one another. So if your blog isn't helping people to understand the attitudes of people in your country or your culture or your faith tradition or the faith traditions around you, if it's something saying, "Oh, I got a new PlayStation for my birthday," that's not really relevant. That's not really what this site's about. So always be thinking, if somebody reads my blog, are they going to find it helpful? Are they going to know more about my country, my culture, my faith because of what they've read? If the answer to those questions is yes, then you're doing a good job. It's also important to be inclusive. Okay, and this goes back to the point about using simple language. Your readers may be unfamiliar with your ideas. They may not know the terms that you're using. So try and explain every term you use, because your readers may not understand them. Remember, you're not going to get lots of responses to a blog that people don't understand. There are some don'ts for writing blogs as well. Don't write a one-sentence blog. If you want to write something that's one sentence long, write a blast instead. Don't write irrelevant blogs. Okay? Keep it focused on what the site's about. You're here to teach other people about you. Don't copy work from the internet or anywhere else. Okay? As I've said before, if we find work that's been obviously copied from somewhere else, it will be deleted by the moderator. We're going to have to crack down on this, I'm afraid. And the fourth point is quite a difficult one. Don't write something entirely political. Obviously, when you're writing about your experience and your life, you may want to write about how the politics of your country or your region intersect with that, how you experience it. And that's really good. We want that. That's really important. But it's not a good idea just to write a political statement. Okay? That's not what this site's about. We're not in the business of political stuff. We are in the business of learning about one another's cultures and experiences. So politics is fine if you make it personal, if you reduce it to your experience, if you focus in on the things that are happening to you, then that's fine. But in general terms, please don't do it. Now the site provides you with a couple of different ways for asking questions. Okay, there's the polling tool and there's the forum. But it's worth thinking about how to get the most out of these. Okay, if you're going to use the poll, your question should be simple, clear and worthwhile. Okay, now what I mean by that is the question needs to be phrased in such a way that it's really clear what you're looking for. There's no possibility of discussion or debate. Okay, so it has to be really clear and it has to be straightforward. It's also got to be worthwhile. It's got to reflect the purpose of the site. Don't ask people whether they prefer a PS2 or a PlayStation. Is that helping people to understand one another's cultures and faiths? No, it's not. So it's not a worthwhile question. Make sure your question's worthwhile and that it's phrased in a way that everyone can understand. It's really important when you're using a poll to give lots of possible responses. I see a lot of poll questions where someone asks a really challenging question and then gives people a yes or no response. Well, very often it's not easy to answer a question yes or no, particularly if it's a difficult question, because we want to say, well, yes, but I also think these things, or well, no, but I also think these things. So if you've asked a simple and clear question, it's a good idea to give people a lot of different responses. Okay, that's really important. The third thing is when you've done your poll and you've got your responses, share what you find out by writing a blog or contributing to a forum. Because actually one of the things that happens is people ask questions in their polls, they get answers, and then nobody else finds out what happened. So always make sure you share what you find out in a blog and talk about why it's interesting. We've also got the forum, and the forum is a good place to ask difficult and complex questions, okay? Because that enables people to explain and discuss their answers. So instead of just having to say yes or no, someone can say, well, I think these positive things towards the yes idea, and I think these negative things towards the no, but ultimately I think whatever it happens to be. There are very, very few questions that people can answer yes and no. And most of the questions that get asked here on Face to Faith are questions that are difficult and complex, where people want to discuss their ideas. So put those in a forum. The other thing that's really good about a forum is they encourage ongoing dialogue. The best forums, and I've noticed that this is happening increasingly, are things that run on. Some of our best forums with the most answers have been going for 6 or 7 months now, and people are constantly contributing ideas. Also, the site has made it a lot easier to add other things. So it's a lot easier to add pictures and movies to this site. The thing that's important though is, just like any other site, you should really only upload your own pictures and your own movies. So what I mean is, if you want to illustrate your blog with a picture that you have taken, or a bunch of pictures that you've taken, that's great. That's really an excellent idea, and it can certainly be used to really enhance your explanations. I mean, for example, a lot of people wrote blogs about what Christmas means to them just before Christmas. It would be great if they could add some pictures of this is how we celebrate Christmas in my community, or this is how we celebrate Eid, or this is how we celebrate Diwali. Those pictures, those videos are really important. But what's important is that they're your own. You shouldn't just copy and upload pictures from elsewhere. Now obviously this is something a lot of people do in other places on the internet, but actually you shouldn't. If you look at the terms of service that you signed up to with something like Facebook, it says I won't upload pictures that aren't mine. Now Facebook won't chase you about it, but we will. And we will always ensure that, if we come across any pictures that obviously aren't yours, we won't allow them to be published. Links to your movies, they're important as well. And remember, all your pictures, all your movies will go for moderation before they appear. So you don't need to publish them 5 or 6 times. Publish it once, the moderator will see it, and then once they've given permission, it'll be out there on the site for everyone to look at. And remember, of course, if you're taking pictures, we have an Image of the Month contest. We've had a couple of good ones to start with, but I want to see a lot more. We should be seeing a lot more pictures on the site. It will make it really exciting if we do that. The final thing I want to talk about is the points, because a lot of you have started collecting points very avidly. And I think one of the things we need to understand is what they're there for. Points are one way that help us to identify the students who are doing a great job of using the site. And we'll be awarding prizes to really outstanding users, and we'll also be enhancing the membership. So what we'll be doing is creating a super user category at some stage in the future. It'll be a few months from now, and that'll be something we'll be inviting the very best users of the site to join. It's really important to point out that you shouldn't really cheat in terms of gaining points. A lot of you have worked out already that if you write a blog, you get points. So some people have written 200 or 300 blogs that are only one line long and are all quotations from somewhere else. Well, that's quite a transparent way of cheating. And you have to remember that everything on the site's moderated, so we'll see when you do that, and we'll just delete those blogs, because we want blogs to be meaningful. We want the points system to be meaningful as well. So follow the rules, you know. It's really good to get lots of points, but get points for good work. So I hope this video has helped you to understand how you can use the Face2Faith online community and get the most out of it. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always ask the admin for help, or indeed other people. If you come across something you're not sure about, report it, because we are here to keep you safe. Thank you.